Pest control product packaging pet peeves. You know what's coming. Brace yourselves.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the daily edition of the Pest Geek podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every day discussing all things pest. Hey, we're going to be discussing pest control products, packaging pet peeves. Go ahead and say that 5 times fast. It's one of those things where I don't know, sometimes the manufacturers that make products for us professionals don't take us into consideration in what we're doing. And I use a lot of products that are lawn and ornamental products. And they're also used in ag, and they're also used in nurseries. And they forget that us pest control people are in the field handling products. We're not in a farm. We're not in a controlled environment. We're in the field working off the back of a truck in all kinds of weather. And we have to deal with packaging that is, not up to our standards. And I think the pest control manufacturers need to, listen to us and listen to our pet peeves that we're having about packaging, because just in the last year, it's just been one nightmare after another with packaging, with products. And it's just getting worse, and especially with the generic manufacturers putting out a ton of product very cheaply, but geez, is very hard to use your product sometime. And I just rather sometimes pay more not to have to deal with the headaches. Before we get into the top 10 list that I have prepared today, folks, I just want to remind you to go ahead and join the society, pestgeekpodcast.com. Where we've got a ton of stuff that we're putting out on that website, a lot of information coming out, and also YouTube channel. We got a YouTube channel. We got videos coming on, tips. Members are starting to send in their videos and sharing it with you guys, sharing their tips, sharing their knowledge. Go ahead and check out the channel, Pest Geek Podcast on YouTube, and also join the group. We've got a listeners group for Pest Geek Podcast listeners. So wherever you are in the world, please go ahead and comment on the podcast, comment on things that I could have thought about, but I didn't, things that I got wrong. Feel free to correct and roast the host. That's right. You have authority to do that. Thank you so much for all the feedback and all the comments and all the encouragement you guys offer on a daily basis. And we're going to be discussing things that just don't go right in the field with a lot of products. Some of my pet peeves with products is bags. A lot of manufacturers have gone to bags where they used to have another type of container. It's a 10-pound bag, a 15-pound bag, 4-pound bag, a 2-pound bag. And some of these bags are so darn cheap that they rip. That's right, folks. You open the bag and you put it inside your truck, something, and your B&G hits it and the bag rips open and out comes the product. Yes, we should not have to be sweeping up products from cheap bags that we put in the back of our vehicles. You got to understand, we're traveling from place to place. That bag is going to get opened 15, 20 times before we're done using it. And it rips open. I've got a couple of my products that I love using that I either have to buy it in a 4-pound container or a 40-pound box because your 10-pound bag stinks. So that's been one of my pet peeves with these bags. The second thing with bags that pisses me off to no end is Ziploc bags that don't zip and don't lock. I mean, you try to zip these things and you're there for 3 minutes and the zips are coming off the bag. They're becoming unglued. You can't zip the bag. What good is a Ziploc bag that you have to carry open in the back of your truck? It's just, it's enough to make you want to pull your your hair out. Guys, listen to us. Make a Ziploc bag with a good, like one of those little ringers that come across it that actually zip the bag with granular products. It's a nightmare. My third probably should have been my number one, which has been on my pet peeve list lately, is manufacturers that are making bottles with that require the label has ml on it, and the pouring bottle, the little measuring cup inside the bottle or on the bottle, like on a tip and pour, is in quarter ounces and half ounce. Now, how the heck do you measure to qualify 12 milliliters per gallon when you have to put in half an ounce, which is 15 milliliters? You're going to violate the label every single time, so you got to get under it, kind of figure out, is this under, is it not? Quarter ounce, so if I'm mixing, if I'm going to mix a half gallon, then a quarter ounce, now I got to go under that, and I'm just, my head is going back and forth like a bobblehead doll, looking at this and trying to measure it in the field, and it's impossible. How are you going to sell us something that has to be measured in mLs, but yet you give a fractions of an ounce? That's been my biggest pet peeve with these products. Another one that I use a ton of bait. I use a ton of bait bottles. I use 4-pound bait bottles all the time with multiple products. Non-ergonomic scatter bait bottles. I don't know about you, but I don't think there's a single product manufacturer that has to go around a property holding a handle while they're getting cramps on their forearm from scattering bait around a huge property. I mean, when you have to do it around a huge building and you're wasting an entire 4 pounds on it, and you're holding this thing at an angle and your wrist is cramping up from going like that. I mean, it's the most uncomfortable thing in the world. I got to hand it to a company that got it right. And that's Nisus with their Niban. That bottle is amazing to shake. And I end up having to take all the bottles that I have and grabbing them by the bottom and then just tipping them over and doing them completely upside down and then just smacking the bottle up and down so I can use it. I mean, that is driving me insane. Please give us ergonomic bottles that won't you give us like carpal tunnel when we're done doing our job. Please. Here's another pet peeve of mine on bait tubes. We have them on bait guns, and sometimes you drop the bait gun and the needle hits the ground and it breaks off the little inside tip of that bait tube. And now I end up with, 8/10 of a bait tube that I can't use because I can't put that needle back in there because it's broken. So now I got to go and get a syringe and then pour it into a syringe and then use a regular medical syringe to finish using my product. If you can make one that the tip doesn't break when it hits the ground from 1.5 feet high. It happens. It falls out of your holster. It falls out of your hand. You're underneath a sink and it just breaks. It's, like I said, if you should see me right now, I almost have no hair. I mean, of doing this so long. Here's a pet peeve that the industry's having, and I think it's collusion between the manufacturer and the distributor to insist that we buy individual products by the case that are packaged individually. I mean, you could sell us 5 or 6. No, I got to buy 24 of something I don't need. It's almost cheaper to buy it, online from, one of the do-it-yourself suppliers than having to carry 20 packages of something you don't need. Please, give us a break. We're individuals. We're the small guy. We're the little guy here. I know that a lot of people don't care about us because we obviously don't buy a whole lot. But, please do the attempt to cater to us. Bottles that continuously leak. Even though you sit there and you tighten that cap with a pair of vice grips, that bottle will still leak. And you end up losing a $60, $65, when it's a pint, and you lose the product. Can you make a bottle that doesn't leak, please? Make a bottle. The other one is on the bottles, the caps have these little cardboard, what they're like cardboard, seals that are glued to the cap. But after 2 days of using them, you open up the cap and they're stuck to the neck or the mouth of the bottle. And now you have to handle this wet cap full of chemical. And then you got to find somewhere to put it. You got to put it inside the cap. And every time you're going to use that bottle 3-5 times a day, you got to go through this process. Can you make a seal that doesn't swell up, fall into 15 layers of paper, shred apart, and fall off the cap after 2 days of opening that bottle? Can you please do that for us? I mean, I'm begging you. I have to handle this thing like my glove is full of chemical every time I have to do it because I got to touch it. There's no reason why I should have to touch that every single time and then go wash my glove and wash my hand before I touch anything else because I'm going to get concentrate all over the freaking place. All right. Now, product that is sold and is applied by the ounce or by the pound, and we need to carry a scale with us like we're Coke dealers, measuring it all over the place because you don't offer a measuring device for your product. Please, if you're going to have us measure stuff like in 0.025 ounces of, granular wettable granules, give us a device that we can measure it with, that we don't have to look like we're dealing Coke in the back of our truck, especially when we're in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time of day. It doesn't look good. Please, I'm begging you. And finally, my number one pet peeve lately with one manufacturer that makes a gel bait in a tube that when you squeeze it, the tube explodes on you. 3 bottles, 3 tubes of gel bait that one has leaked in my pocket, the other one has leaked in my pouch. You got to keep it upside down, and then when you squeeze it, it decides to pop on you and leak out. That one is really getting my goat. Hey folks, I hope this podcast hasn't been too serious. Hey, would you do me a favor? I'm going to go ahead and post it, and will you comment on it? And let me know anything else that we should be knowing about packaging of products for the professional pest control industry. And I really appreciate you guys listening here every day. The podcast is growing by leaps and bounds, and I'm super, super stoked. Hey guys, this has been all for today. Have a great one.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.